Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I hope you're all doing well, inshallah. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Aisha Murray, a revert Muslim of many years from Scotland. This channel is created to break the stereotypes and misconceptions of Muslims and Islam, primarily in my country, but anyone who's willing to try and filter through the accent is always welcome in this channel, inshallah. This video I wanted to focus on the podcast between Jordan Peterson and Mohammed Hijab, which finally released today. It's titled Islam and the Possibility of Peace. Now, I know many Muslims are going to be talking about this. Many Muslims are going to be doing reaction videos. So I didn't want to spend too much time on different parts. I thought it would be probably best to focus on one or two parts that stood out to me.
The attributes of God, how are they knowable? Is that only through relationship with the book, or does that also have an experiential element as far as you're concerned?
So what I can do, in fact, is I can recite for you a couple of verses from the Quran, because what we believe is they are known through the revelation. And I can recite for you maybe 10-20 second verses and translate for you and show you what I think it will give you more of a flavor of what we believe.
Sure. Do what you will.
So the Quran states in the end of chapter 59, هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. So let me read the translation from because I don't want to get this wrong, right? These two verses I think are probably the two best verses that answer your question in the Quran. Allah is He. I'm going to get something maybe a bit better. Translation. All right. He is Allah, that there is no God worthy of worship except for Him, the King, the Holy, the one free from all defects, the giver of security, the watcher over His creatures, the mighty, the compeller, the supreme. Glory be to Him. Glory be to God. High is He above all that they associate as partners with Him. He is Allah, the Creator, the inventor of all things, the bestower of forms. To Him belong the best names. All that is in the heavens and the earth glorify Him, and He is the Almighty, the All-Wise. So these are, I would say, potentially the two best verses that summarize for us.
Yeah, so it's an attempt to use a multiplicity of virtues to define a supreme source of good. So,
yes.
Okay.
So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward Mohammed Hijab for choosing this verse to recite to Jordan Peterson. I thought it was a great choice that really helped communicate how we perceive God in Islam. The only thing though, because of Jordan Peterson's curiosity about the actual recitation, I think they skipped from this section just a bit too quick for me. I think understanding how we see God in Islam is such an important point to be made and should have took a bit more time. Obviously this is a conversation, it happens, but as Muslims, understanding the concept of God and the way that He describes in the preserved sources like the Quran, we call this Tawheed, and this is to understand God and His oneness, to understand His names and attributes, and through both of these understand that He is the only one worthy of worship. Now for me, and I say this figuratively of course, so let me emphasize that, but the name and attributes of Allah specifically are, almost like puzzle pieces. So when you understand and get to know each puzzle piece and then you put them all together. It gives you a really holistic and in-depth view of who Allah is. And it really reaches you on a personal level, giving you hope, comfort, patience, humility, clarity, and protection. I really hope Jordan Peterson will continue to have these conversations, focusing on understanding God through a new and fresh set of eyes that an Islamic lens will provide.
Question: you sang those verses or chanted them, or a combination of those two. Okay, but there's a melodic element to that, and I don't understand the language, and then you translated them, and so why approach the answer to my question in that manner?
Because we believe that the Quran in its original language has an element in it, or has a virtue, if you like, to it, or an attribute to it, which cannot be felt or experienced phenomenologically, if you like, through just mere translation. We believe that.
And so what purpose does that serve in a discussion with someone like me?
What it will do, hopefully, because we believe the Quran has divine qualities itself. The Quran itself has divine qualities. So we believe, number one, it's a cure. We believe it's actually a physical cure, as well as a spiritual cure. We believe that it's a guidance. We believe that it's something which will literally put you in a psychological state of ease. So in a sense, what it will do, it hopefully, will have an effect on you, which is physiological, maybe psychological. And in a sense, it's like giving you something to taste rather than just explaining what it tastes like, and so that's why I feel it's
how do you know when that's appropriate and when it's not?
It's
I mean, you obviously don't all the well, but you don't.
I don't mean that. I mean,
no, but so that's why I asked the question. It's obviously you're making distinctions. You're not doing what you just did with
what
me.
It is doing, Peterson. I want to give you the full Islamic experience. You see?
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Do you know what I mean?
No,
so,
okay.
So part of it is to let you hear what the Quran sounds like. So you can kind of, if you hear it, maybe you go somewhere to a Muslim country and you hear that in the background, or you maybe even walking down. I don't know. You're from Alberta, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazed you know that.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned it before. I've been to Edmonton, actually, in Canada. There's a Muslim community there. Maybe you'll hear it in someone driving there, and I remember that. I know what that is. So it's just to gain maybe.
So why did that make you smile?
Because that would make me happy. I mean, quite openly and honestly, because we want the best. I mean, to be honest with you, if you want me to be totally honest, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, all right. What you asked me before we started the show. I mean, one of our, not objectives, but one of our hopes, okay, is that people embrace Islam and become Muslims. Islam is an evangelizing religion. It's a religion which aims literally to enter every home. There is actually a prophetic saying that says that Islam will enter every home, not necessarily meaning everyone will become Muslim, but it will enter every home in some way, shape, or form.
You mean like what's happening right now with this podcast?
There you have it.
When I first watched this video and I watched this section of it, I have to be really honest and say that I got teary in this moment in a really pathetic way. I think it was because I really appreciated the level of honesty and sincerity that was in this section of the conversation. There was something really endearing about it that I appreciated. I loved the fact that in that moment Jordan Peterson had a genuine curiosity to understand what probably outwardly looks like a small detail. Why didn't you just, translate it rather than recite it? Why he chose to recite in this way. And I really liked the taste example that Mohammed Hijab gave, and that was to let you taste it rather than to tell you how it tastes. Now, of course, reciting Quran, pondering on Quran, understanding Quran is no small detail. The Quran is the direct word of God, the truth and evident guidance, preserved and recited by all Muslims across the globe, as well as the Muslims who came before us and those who will follow us. But there was also something about that section of the conversation that I could relate to on a personal level. To me, I think many people wouldn't have asked such a question in the midst of such a deep and important conversation. What I remember about my first times listening to the Quran and the recitation of the Quran, I felt this overpowering urge to fully understand everything I just heard, to understand what these words meant, its presentation, the conviction of the person reciting it, the context in which it was revealed, and how that is applicable to my everyday. How do I implement this into my life? It was like a rush of eagerness to understand something that my brain couldn't compute, but my senses could recognise. Now, one of the main reasons I feel a lot of Muslims would have clicked onto this podcast, not just because of Jordan Peterson and Mohammed Hijab, but in a previous video made by Jordan Peterson, he was asked by an audience member what he thought of Islam, or I can't remember the question specifically. Jordan Peterson's response was something like he couldn't get over the fact that the Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, was a warlord. Now, for anyone who has studied the Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him's life, or knows anything about his character, to say such a thing is polar opposite to what is the truth. And I think many people were hoping that Mohammed Hijab would go on and fix that misrepresentation that Jordan Peterson put out there. He has a huge following. Now, I don't want to get into that section of the video too much because a lot was said, but Jordan Peterson did retract that statement, and I think that was really, really important. But I also wanted to use this opportunity to emphasise the importance of going to the authentic and preserved sources, the Islamic sources, to get to know the Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him. Not only that, but you need to set aside the bias that has been gained through the misrepresentation of those who opposed him.
How about we make peace? Hey, and so you and I, we had a peaceful conversation, so good for us, and hooray. And hopefully we'll have some more. And I would very much like to see you in Cambridge or Oxford. And you can listen to my arguments in a more detailed manner that way. And that might address some of the philosophical concerns that you were raising. Yeah. So I'll get an invitation out to you, well, likely today. So, fantastic. And hopefully we'll be able to talk again. And thank you very much for agreeing to speak with me. I appreciate it. And for correcting me on my misapprehensions.
Thank you, Dr. Jordan. And you're most welcome to come and speak on my podcast as well. And as I said, a lot of traditionalist Muslims really look up to you. And I think we've actually come quite a long way in being able to build bridges. To summarize really from my side, so long as today we have realized that, okay, Islam is a religion not too dissimilar, okay, from the other previous dispensations as we would see it. And that there are things, there's a flesh that joins these religions, and also that peace is possible. Peace is possible.
Good. Well, then let's see if we can be good enough people to actually want peace.
Let's try and see what we can do.
All right, man. We'll see you. I hope we see each other in the UK. And I'd like to say hello to all the listeners and watchers of this from the Islamic community. And let's see what we can do together, man.
Yeah, and you're invited to any mosque, I think, in the UK will have you, because you've already got the presence there. Just name the mosque and I'll get you an invitation.
Send me a suggestion. When I send you this invitation, send me a suggestion. I don't know if I can do it on this visit, but I'm coming back in, I think, March, and I'm certainly willing to do it. Not only willing, eager, and I mean that. I mean yes. Eager. I would love to be welcomed in that manner. That would be a tremendous privilege as far as I'm concerned. So.
Yeah. No, I think you will be surprised as to the amount of acceptability that you have in particular in the Muslim community.
Well, hooray for that. So let's try not to muck it up with foolish words.
We won't.
All right, man. Good talking to you. Thanks again.
Thanks so much.
I think this is the thing about Jordan Peterson, like Mohammed Hijab touched on in the video. A lot of his work, a lot of his ideas, a lot of the things that he says coincides with, what was mentioned in the podcast, that instinct, that fitra. We genuinely want the best for him. We really, really do. I genuinely hope Jordan Peterson follows up with his plans to have more conversations, to visit mosques, to speak to more Muslims. I hope he knows that the Muslim community is one that welcomes him, they are a community that he could probably find a lot of commonality with. These are the points that I just wanted to make on this video. I thought it was a really interesting conversation that was a great start to hopefully what is many more. At the end of the day, as Muslims, it's our duty to convey the message. Those who listen to the message are not forced to take it and believe it. That is completely down to the individual. However, having conversations like these where the goal is to gain understanding. What follows it is consideration and empathy, understanding another perspective and viewpoint. May Allah guide us all. May Allah increase us in knowledge and guide us to the truth and keep us close to Him. Ameen. I'll see you all very soon. Salam. Any mistakes made in this video is a reflection of me and my limitations as a human being, and any good in this video is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God the Almighty.